Well, Pesach is over, and we are well on our way to the next holiday called Shavuos. And the rabbis say that each week you should learn one chapter of Pirkei Avos, Ethics of Our Fathers. And it goes through some very important rules and understandings of what we should do, how we should lead our life. Well, the first chapter starts off a very interesting way. It starts off not with rules, but Moshe Kibel Torah Sinai. Moses accepted the Torah from Mount Sinai. It seems that in order to start this whole book, all these chapters, we have to know that Moshe got the Torah from Mount Sinai. And the rabbis say the following thing. How do you ever know that something is true? Let's say somebody came over to you a year ago and said, guess what? Russia just invaded Ukraine. And you're like, what are you talking about? Is that really true? Right? How do we know any story that we hear on the news? How do we know it's true? You have to research. You have to go to the source and see if the source is true. Well, what we are about to teach you is a very strong source, the greatest of all sources. The source is Moses got it on Mount Sinai from God himself. That is a very, very solid source. So now you can start to read. But you know what? This source, sometimes it can get unclear when they give it over to the next generation. What if, when the teacher teaches it, the next generation loses it? Therefore, it says, no, Moshe gave it over to Yoshua, his greatest student. Yoshua gave it over to the Zikanim, the elders. Zikanim and Nevi'im, they gave it over to the prophets. Nevi'im and Tzurula and Shekinah Gedolah, they gave it over to the men of the great assembly. So each one is a very strong Masorah. It's a very, very powerful chain that goes directly back all the way to Mount Sinai and God, and they say three things that we should learn. The first one is, have a masunim badin, they should be very exact in their judgment. Number two is, v'hamidu salmidim harbe, you should have a lot of students. And finally, asu siyag la Torah, you should make a fence around the Torah. And the truth is, if you're talking about truth, these are very, very important things. First of all, you should have a masunim, be very exact in your judgment. Make sure you get to the truth when you're judging something, whether it be a court case or whether it be a friend, any kind of instance. Make sure you get to the truth. The second one is hamidu samidim harbe, have a lot of students. When you have a lot of students, you have people that are challenging you. So you have to say the truth. If they start raising their hands and asking questions, you have to be able to answer. So it's going to be the truth. And finally, asis siyag Torah. If you want to make sure that you don't fall off that cliff, you want to make sure that you get over everything 100%, then you should start making fences. Make fences around the Torah so you make sure that everything is 100% done right and you never end up going over and doing the wrong thing. That is the importance. That is the first Mishna Pirkei Avos. We'll see you next time for another important lesson of Ethics of the Fathers.